You're walking through a forest, birds explode out of the trees, a deer freezes, stares at you, then bolts. A squirrel runs 3 steps, stops, runs 3 steps, stops, basically having a full crisis because you exist, and you're just standing there eating a granola bar. So what's actually going on? Why do animals, creatures with claws, venom, horns, speed, act terrified of us? Soft, slow, mostly hairless apes who get winded climbing 2 flights of stairs? The answer goes deeper than you'd think. This fear didn't start last century. It didn't start with guns or agriculture or even fire. It started millions of years ago. Scientists call it the landscape of fear. The idea that prey animals don't just react to predators standing in front of them. They shape their entire life around the possibility of one being nearby. Feeding spots, sleeping spots, when they move, all of it calibrated around avoiding death. And for a very long time, early humans were part of that calculation. Paleolithic humans were persistence hunters. We didn't have the speed to outrun prey, but we had something worse. We just kept going for hours until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. A weird bipedal creature jogging steadily towards you was genuinely terrifying if you were a gazelle. So animals learned, not individually, generationally. The ones that ran from human-shaped silhouettes survived. Repeat that for thousands of generations, and you get animals pre-programmed with human fear baked into their DNA. Now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. In 2016, researchers at the University of Western Ontario made a wild claim that humans are what they called the super predator, feared more than any other predator on the planet. They played audio to wild animals, not lion roars, not wolf howls, just the sound of humans talking, casual conversation. And the results were remarkable. Mountain lions fled at more than twice the rate they fled from other predators. Bobcats, deer, skunks, badgers, all of them bolted harder from human voices than from any actual threat. Think about that. A mountain lion, an apex predator that kills deer for breakfast, running from the sound of someone chatting about their weekend. Why? Because even apex predators carry a historical memory of humans being dangerous. We hunted them too. We're not just scary because we're predators. We're scary because we're unpredictable, and unpredictability is basically the most terrifying thing in the animal kingdom. Most predators follow patterns. Wolves hunt at dawn and dusk. Crocodiles ambush near water. Prey animals evolved to read those patterns, and knowing the pattern is what keeps them alive. But humans hunt morning and night, alone and in groups, with fire, traps, guns, drones. We hunt on land, in water, from the air. From an animal's perspective, there is no pattern to us. We're a variable they can't solve, and when you can't solve a variable, the only rational response is maximum avoidance, always. But what about pigeons that won't move out of your way? Or raccoons that stare you down while raiding your trash? That's habituation. When animals are repeatedly exposed to humans without anything bad happening, the fear response switches off. Crows take it further. They recognize individual human faces, remember people who've wronged them, hold the grudge for years, and teach their young who to avoid. They're not unafraid. They're keeping files on us. Here's the evidence that really breaks it open. Islands where humans never showed up. When Darwin reached the Galapagos in the 1830s, he was baffled. The animals just didn't move. He wrote about sitting next to birds that wouldn't fly away, pushing iguanas into the sea and watching them calmly swim back. The same thing happens in Antarctica, where penguins walk straight up to researchers to inspect their gear. The conclusion is stark. Fear of humans isn't a factory setting. It's installed through experience. And take away the experience, and the fear dissolves within a few generations. This fear isn't just a quirky behavior. It reshapes entire ecosystems. When wolves returned to Yellowstone in 1995, deer changed behavior entirely, avoiding open valleys and riverbanks. Vegetation came back. Rivers changed course. Fish populations rebounded. All because the wolves made the deer afraid. A 2018 study in Science found animals across 6 continents have become significantly more nocturnal purely because of human presence, not habitat loss. Just us being around rewired when wildlife across the planet chooses to be awake. And it's not just how we look or move, it's how we smell. Researchers left scent strips soaked in human sweat near wildlife cameras, and the drop in animal activity matched strips soaked in mountain lion urine. You, just existing, smell roughly as threatening to local wildlife as an apex predator. So why do some animals attack instead of running? Almost never out of aggression, out of desperation. An animal cornered with no escape route. A mother protecting offspring. An animal pushed into forced proximity with humans by habitat loss and operating under extreme stress. In almost every case, it's a last resort, not a hunting strategy. The clearest proof of all this comes from first contact. Moments when animals encounter humans with zero previous exposure. Historical accounts describe sailors walking up to birds that had never seen a human before and simply picking them up. The dodo went extinct, largely because of exactly this. It wasn't stupid. It walked toward hunters instead of away, because it hadn't been taught to be afraid yet. Which brings us to the uncomfortable part. The fear animals have of us isn't a mistake, it's an accurate read. We've driven hundreds of species extinct. We've transformed more than half the planet's natural habitat. Statistically, the animals running from us are making the correct call. But there's a hopeful twist, too. Given the right conditions, consistent, non-threatening presence, no hunting pressure, animals rehabituate surprisingly fast. Mountain gorilla groups in Rwanda went from fleeing rangers to tolerating close observation within just a few years of careful, respectful contact. The squirrel having a meltdown on your lawn isn't being dramatic. It's running a survival program refined over hundreds of thousands of years. It has no idea you're just trying to eat a granola bar and enjoy the outdoors. But the same intelligence that made us this frightening is also what lets us choose differently. That version of the world already exists. In reserves, on islands, in places where the experiment has run long enough for the fear to genuinely fade. The landscape of fear isn't permanent. It's a reflection of behavior. And behavior can change. The only question is whether we're willing to earn that.